If you liked the video, please consider supporting us on Patreon.
Let's learn some basic video lighting techniques, cutting light with flags and nets. Welcome to Pull My Focus Adventures in the World of Digital Filmmaking, where we give you the inside tips you need to make great video. Today we're going to talk about cutting light with flags and nets. This is a video I've been wanting to do for a while, and we're doing it with our sponsor. Bolt Lighting Rental is a full-service lighting and grip rental house in the San Francisco Bay Area. I'm going to thank them for helping us make this video possible. There's a saying in the biz, gaffers make light, grips make shadows. This refers to the fact that besides rigging lights, pushing the dolly, grips also cut and manipulate the lights for the electrical department. And their main tools for doing this are flags and nets. Flags cut all of the light. Nets block some. But why do we need to cut and manipulate light on a film and video set in the first place? That's a great question. We need light to bounce off our subject, the sets and props, in order to get an exposure. We can't see it if it's not lit. But more importantly, we also need to create a look and feel, one that fits the mood and intention of the film or video that you're creating. And that means we're using lights to simulate other lights to get that exposure. This is usually the sun, ambient sunlight, and practicals, you know, the lamps that you would have in a house or apartment. Well, flags and nets allow us to do that, to adjust the contrast of the lighting in our shots in very specific ways in order to produce a look and feel. Let's look at an example. If the sun is illuminating an interior wall, right, it's coming through a window, the spread of light is going to be pretty even, and that's because the sun is 93 million miles away. But if we're simulating that sunlight hitting the wall with our own light, which a lot of times we'll do because the problem with the sun is it keeps moving through the sky. If we set a light, it stays there. So we'll set a light on that wall to simulate sunlight coming through the window, giving us a slash of light. But instead of being a million miles away, it's much, much closer. This means one side of our wall, the side closest to our light, will be hotter and then dropping off as it spreads out. Doesn't look right. We need to even out that spread by lowering the light level closest to the light. Nets to the rescue. We'll place a net between the wall and the light, open side out into the beam of light, and table it a little, angling it with the beam, adjusting its position to bring the light level down on the wall closest to the light. This allows us to even out that spread of light, simulating sunlight. Nets adjust the light level and therefore the contrast in our scene, in this case allowing us to simulate the even spread of sunlight on a wall. Flags can help in our simulation in a different way. Since flags stop all of the light, we use them to cut light to make shadows. This light we're using to simulate sunlight. What if we want it to look and feel like it's coming through a window? We can use a flag on the top of the light and the bottom to simulate the top and bottom frame of a window. We'll set the flag the same way we did with the net, angling it into the beam of light. Note that the closer flag's edge is to the wall, the sharper the shadow. And generally, we table flags so the shadow edge is angled out, closer to the surface, and therefore a little sharper. We can also use paper tape or a piece of black show card between the two flags to simulate a window pane. I'll roughly place it and then adjust it to the camera. I'll add extra pieces if needed to thicken the window pane shadow. Sometimes we need to break up the background even more by simulating the dappled light coming through a tree and leaves, through a window, through a curtain. We've rigged branches on stands in front of a light in order to do just that. Well, we can cut a cookie, or what's called a cucoloris, using show card or foam core, or rent one in order to do that. The intent is to simulate dappled light, right, coming through the branches of a tree outside, or a patterned curtain, or some kind of modeled window pane, or whatever it is that creates this pattern on the wall. At times you'll even see it used in the background on interviews, shot in a studio even. And that's generally the cookie put right in front of the light to simulate that. To create one, you just think grammar school art class, except you've got a knife in your hand, and just take that knife and just slice up, patterns in the show card or foam core that are just totally random gobbledygook. I mean, think modern art, surrealism, man. Yeah. Now, in these examples, we're cutting light falling on a relatively flat surface. But what about in the middle of a scene, in the middle of a shot of an actor? Here we have an actor wearing a bright white shirt, something we would, if we could help it, we would normally avoid with wardrobe, but you can't always do that. And we feel it's too bright. Okay, great. We'll use nets to bring that light level down on just the shirt, not on the actor's face. Okay, great. But what if that light is meant to, say, illuminate a dark area in the background, and the actor doesn't start in the shot, they're walking into it and stopping, and then leaving. Now they're walking into that light with that bright white shirt, and they're closer to the light than that background area. What do? In this case, we do what we call Hollywooding, temporarily bringing in a net or a flag into the light to adjust the contrast on the fly during the shot. In this case, on the actor, on James. As he steps in, we'll bring the open side of the net into the light, tracking him and holding it as he stops. Then, as he walks out of the shot, we'll turn the net and track him out so the open side of the net trails out. We don't want that edge to give us a shadow. Open side in, open side out. Nothing creative is ever simple. It takes some tweaking and fine-tuning. Here we have a cookie throwing shadows on an actor. To control where the light is hitting, we now fine-tune the cookie with paper tape, placing it right where we want it and opening it up in other places so it works for the shot. Another way to fine-tune is using very small flags and nets called dots and fingers. Now these sets look like they're used to, maybe shoot a film in a dollhouse, but actually what they're great for are handling much smaller areas, like maybe the round area of a clock face that you want to bring that light level down, and smaller objects, and when we're doing tabletop and shots like that. When we're adjusting the contrast in a shot, sometimes we need to do it in smaller areas, and that's where the dots and fingers come into play. Cutting light is an art, and is one of the things I enjoyed the most when I was cutting, manipulating, molding raw light until it takes on a new look and feel that fits the vision of the gaffer and the DP and the project you're working on. Another shout out to Bolt Lighting Rental. Thank you guys so much for making this video possible. Thanks for watching. Let us know any questions you have in the comment section below. And don't forget to check out pullmyfocus.tv for the companion articles that go along with our videos. Have fun cutting light.